It is Purely Purpose with Lauren and friends, and we are excited to bring to you an interesting video today. So we're coming at you with a reaction video to a video that was recently posted by a YouTuber whose name is entitled The Roommates, and he posted a video about OnlyFans girls and the tragic future of womanhood. So he made this video. He was able to create they were making a podcast content, and they invited 3 women on this podcast to explain to them what they're doing on their OnlyFans page, on their OnlyFans account. They wanted to hear their perspective and experiences, and what it seemed to me, now we weren't there, right?
We weren't.
We don't know these people at all, so we can't sit here and act like we know all of their intentions, their heart, what they meant, all that stuff. But from what we observed in the 45-minute video we watched,
pretty long,
was that, you know, these men invited these women on so that they could be helpful to them. And helpful in the way that they wanted to educate these women,
right?
And they wanted to show that they cared. How do you show you care? By having a conversation a lot of times. And through the conversation, you ask thought-provoking questions. So that's what these 4 men were trying to do for these 3 young ladies. Mind you, these ladies are in their early 20s. One was 23, yeah. One was 26, I believe, and one was younger than that. And these men, from what I know, were in their 30s and above. So they were trying to give these women that are trying to make it in business some tips on how to be successful businesswomen.
Right.
Well, the men came at it from what seemed like a loving place. And what I appreciated that they did was they kept an even tone for most of the time, especially in the beginning. They kept an even tone with the ladies. What they were the message they were trying to explain to them was simply that these women need to take the money they're earning now from OnlyFans and they need to invest it.
Right.
Not only, you know, investing it in stocks, but investing it in their future. So putting money aside, making sure that they're saving, that their savings is going up, and they're not just blowing all their money on expensive houses, expensive cars, and expensive clothes and accessories, right? Which is what women kind of, like, you know, some of us do.
We're guilty of it sometimes.
Some of us women are guilty at times, you know? Some are really good at saving and some have a hard time spending a lot. So they were simply trying to give some education, a little perspective. Well, that is how I view what the men were doing well in this conversation. Among other things, they were just trying to share with these women things they could do to improve their business on OnlyFans. And I understand that there's 2 sides to every story. So I am saying what I think they did well. Another point, strong point, I think that the men made in speaking with these women were that he specifically talked about how OnlyFans models are making money, but it's only for a short time. Like, sadly, girls that are around our age, we're not going to stay this youthful forever, right? So he was trying to simply make that point that we're not going to stay young and beautiful forever. We'll get older and beautiful, but it's different. And there will be a new girl on the block, and that's just life.
Yeah.
So he was trying to bring a little reality to their mindset, and they just didn't appreciate it. But they were really coming at it from a helpful spot. Another thing that the man talked about, the woman to his left was saying, you know, I discovered a money tree with OnlyFans. And he simply was trying to say a tree goes down deep into the ground and has roots. And from those roots, it gets nutrients. And from the nutrients, the tree grows leaves that become beautiful and life-giving to not only the tree, but the things around it. Okay? OnlyFans is not something that's life-sustaining. It's not a job that you can have from 20 to 80. It's just not. So he was trying to bring that to their attention. They were not having it.
They didn't want to listen at all.
They didn't want to listen. So he was really just trying to point that out, give some solid reasons for why they should really save. And also, yes, he was even saying, like, take advantage of your beauty now in ways that you think are best for your own life, because no one can control another person. However, start also investing in your mind so that you can have a career when you're older, that you can use your mind and you can continue to use skills and tools that you've learned to continue to create money for yourself to survive on. because that's what everyone needs. Is you need money to earn a living
Yeah.
and to pay for just day-to-day items. It's not, the goal of money is not to become the richest person ever, because we know money does not buy happiness. So this man was doing that, and again he finished by saying, you know what, I've been trying to talk to you women for the last 40 minutes. You don't want to hear me. So now he just turned and talked to the men. It was like, men, do you want to marry women with this kind of character and attitude? Because you know what, this attitude that they're giving me right now is what they're going to give you every day times 100. And do you really want your peace robbed like that? No. Okay? So look for a woman of character. Look for a woman of value. Okay? Look for a woman that brings that peace into your life that we all desperately crave.
Yeah.
Okay? Because women might think that there's fun and drama in being super dramatic and loud and just a little bit all over the place, right? Whereas men really just value a woman who can just come in and be peaceful, have a peaceful conversation, support them in their dreams, and the men support the women in their dreams, and it just be an equal, loving partnership.
Yeah.
That's what we're out here promoting. And that's what this group of men were trying to promote. So that's what they were pushing, and that's what they were attempting to do. And so these women just weren't taking it. But, you know, just like we were saying, there are some positive and there's some negative. There are some things that the men could have improved on. And so Michelle is going to talk about the things that could have been improved.
Thank you, Lauren. I do think as well that the men had good intentions with being helpful, to show that they care, and just provide experience that they have gone through in their business world or in their personal life on how they were successful and what was the real meaning behind putting their money away and what was the purpose behind it. So one of the things that I thought they did very well, and I appreciate their intentions, but one of the things that I thought they could improve on is sometimes their tone. I mean, they did have a nice tone throughout, but there were at times where the men could have been viewed as insensitive towards the women. Maybe there were some questions or the way that they responded to these women that could have made the women defensive towards their response. Which I know as women, we have to be spoken a certain way because sometimes we take it personally. I'm guilty of it. We're both guilty of it.
Yes.
But it's also important for the men and the women to understand each other. And we're different. We were created differently, and we respond to situations in various ways. So that was one of the things that I saw where I was like, maybe you could have said it this way. She would have responded differently in a more structured and calm way.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things. Another thing that I saw was they had a lot of good points on how to grow their business, how to really focus on their internal character and not just their outward appearance. So one of the things that I saw was that they were speaking on is how to be able to move forward with their business, right? One of the points that I also thought was a little like, I don't understand, is they were saying about the power of men, right? They're leaders. They were called to be leaders in our home.
Which we totally agree with.
Yes, we do. We're for that because that's the way God ordained it, for the men to be the leaders of the home and our world. However, there was a point that he said where it was that the men kind of made the world. Like they were the creators of it. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. Now, we all know that God was the one who created man and woman. He was the one who built the entire world. If it wasn't for God, we would not be here. Yeah. So that is one of the things that we didn't fully agree on, is that men, even though they are a vital part of society, as are women, God was the ultimate creator. And he's the one who had the vision and the design that we are in today. So that was one of the things that I was like, maybe we have to, take that. We got to take it for what it is, but look more into it. On the flip side, the guys did some good things, and the guys did some, kind of questionable things. But the girls, the 3 girls in the video, had a lot of points on defending their business and just trying to be as honest as possible with their views. One of the things that I appreciate about the girls is that even though their points are a little questionable and we don't fully agree with all of it, which is okay because everybody has their own opinion, was how they are trying to be successful in going towards their goals the best way they can, the best way that they were brought up or that they were educated in. They're just trying to be, they seem like very hardworking women. Like they really are trying to make a difference in the way they could possibly know.
Yeah.
And that is commendable because
Right.
as women, we want to be seen as hard workers. We don't just want to be sitting around waiting for the men to do everything.
Right.
We are called to make a difference.
Yeah.
And the girl in the middle, I really like how she really stood there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, the other two left, which we're not going to judge. That's their decision. But the girl in the middle, she stood there. And even though some of the information was hard for her to receive, and it could have been offensive towards her and her business, she stood there. She was receptive towards information, and she responded with a very caring, open mind,
Mm-hmm.
and she handled herself like an adult.
Right.
Really. Even
Yeah.
though the conversation, sometimes we might have hard conversations with people, and it's important to know that it comes from a loving place. It's not, but it's also with your tone. You have to be very on point with your tone.
Yes, and
because
word
people-
choice.
Right, because sometimes one word can make a whole conversation go south.
A different direction. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is so true. So, good analysis on some of the positive, some of the negative.
Mm-hmm.
So continuing the talk on what we think the girls could have done a little bit better. Well, to start, the initial question that was asked in this video was, Abiz, the main man speaking, he asked the girl closest to him. He said, okay, I hear what you're saying. You're bringing up valid points. You're bringing up your opinion
Mm-hmm.
on the things that you don't appreciate about men.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the attributes about men that you do not like, things that make you feel unattracted to them. And then he said, however, can you acknowledge and what is unattractive about you?
I think I threaten men because I'm just very independent and I'm very successful and I don't really need to rely on anybody else or just even bother with your presence because I am so well established on my own. So
At 23.
yes, 23 with a money tree, boo. Like, don't get.
And that made the men in the room not very happy because she couldn't take any ownership of any of her flaws. And we know if you want to have a successful conversation with another human, you've got to be able to acknowledge your flaws because none of us are perfect. No one, no single person on this earth is perfect besides Jesus himself when he walked on this earth.
Yes.
So the challenge in continuing forward in that conversation was that those girls could not seem to acknowledge their flaws. And the man was simply just trying to get that out of them the entire conversation. He was trying to say, yes, you have strengths. Yes, you're ambitious. Yes, you're goal-oriented. But can you please, take a step down? Let's get a little less prideful and acknowledge that you have some flaws and you have some weaknesses to work on. But she couldn't do that. She wouldn't answer the question. She would just be defensive. She would just revert and ask him his own question back at him and be like, well, you this and you that. Meanwhile, not even really being aware of who she was talking to. A super successful businessman who wanted to help him and give wisdom to her. And she had no clue.
She just didn't want to.
So then he is trying to talk to her, trying to help, and she keeps on being defensive, keeps on being quite rude. And at one point, men are only so patient, and women, but they can only take so much. And at one point, he finally says, if you don't want to take any words of wisdom, if you can't receive any of this advice, then maybe you should just walk off. Like it's your decision. You're your own person. You can stay or you can go. And so he did open that door, and these girls decided to walk through that door, and they just got up and left as he was talking to them. And as one of the guest men that was calling in, who was an older gentleman, had so much advice on business that he wanted to give them, couldn't even give any advice because these girls were so defensive. And two of them were being so rude and nasty to the men, calling them out, saying derogatory terms to them. So I found that to be very disappointing. I mean, my whole spirit yesterday
me too.
was just so down because I'm like, this is what we have representing womanhood in our country right now. And I know that's why this man posted it, why he entitled it The Tragic Future of Womanhood. Because if we continue on this path, let me tell you, it's not promising. Let me tell you why. Because if we continue to have women in America and in this nation who are self-absorbed, narcissistic, prideful, and materialistic women, what is that going to do for our future? For our children? For our future grandchildren? This world is going to become so sad And here's why. Because if we have so many people walking around thinking that the whole universe revolves around them, let's say out of 7 billion, we have, at this rate, 4.5 billion people walking around thinking the whole universe revolves around them.
Wow.
There's going to be not a lot of caring going on.
No,
not a lot
not
of
at all.
helping other people, thinking about other people going on. And people that are thinking about just themselves, they're going to become very lonely, isolated people that, become less and less secure. So insecurity rises, self-worth declines, value declines, and it's just pointing in a very negative and dark direction. Everybody has their own choice. I acknowledge that. We all have our own choice and our own will. But if I were to send a message to young women, I would not say that your goals and your whole life aspiration should be to be a model on OnlyFans. Because you have a beautiful mind and a beautiful soul that people care about. And they should care about more than just your body. And more than you just posting pictures or videos of you half naked with barely any clothes on, and that being the way that you earn money the rest of your life. That's honestly the saddest thing for me. And I know as girls that are beautiful that we consider wanting to have an easier job so that we don't have to work as hard. But think about it, women. Please take a second to think. Do you really want a job that's totally based off of your looks? What happens if you get injured one day or get in an accident and maybe you're not as beautiful as you were? You're going to get fired that day. Then what are you going to do? And besides just some tragic accident, when you are old and on your deathbed and you look back on your life, what do you want your life legacy to be? I posted a bunch of barely clothed pictures and men paid me tons of money for it every month. So I feel like, got nice things on this earth. If you're living for this earth, it's going to be really a sad situation because this earth isn't all that there is. There's heaven. We firmly believe that because that's what we find in God's word. There's heaven to live for. And so we need to be laying up treasures for heaven. And the way to do that is by living a meaningful, Christ-honoring life on earth. Amen. Where we really choose to love others like Christ and every day learn to love Christ better and help and truly care about other people and not just ourselves. And this is something I desperately wish these girls that were interviewed would have got from this podcast, because that's what I believe the men were trying to communicate. That there's so much more meaning to life than just getting applause and attention on our bodies, women. We have a mind, we have a soul and a heart to contribute and to make a difference on this earth. What are you going to do? What do you want your legacy to be?
Yeah.
So this will promote continual decay of the culture and the morality in our country and our globe. So this is not looking very promising, is it, Michelle?
No, it's
and
not.
And social media doesn't have much to help.
Yeah, social media, Lauren, thank you so much for sharing all that. Such good points on how if we continue on this path for us women, okay, it's not looking good. And if we continue to seek attention in the wrong places, like social media. Now, we're not taking shots at social media. Social media can be used for a great platform. There's many women and men that use social media to promote morality, to promote really great things that honor God and really help other people. So we're not doing that. But however, social media also has a downside, and that is social media and the media itself, they want our attention, okay? Our full on attention. Now, that might sometimes be like, what does it mean by attention? They want to grab a hold of our minds. They want to control our minds. So they can what? So they can control what we see and our pocketbooks. Ultimately, they want to control our money. But when you sign into certain sites or certain social media, sometimes the money, it goes into that social media. And that's so sad because we get so taken and absorbed by social media that we find our self-worth in that, in many likes and comments and all these things. And I'll give you an example. Let's say that you want to post, as a woman, you want to post a bikini pic of you on the beach. And you get like 250 likes. You're like, I made it. People think I'm beautiful. I'm accepted, right? The next week, you post a picture of a park day with your dog. Sounds pretty awesome to me. I would love to see a picture of you and your dog or your cat. But you will get 50 likes. Why? Because the park day does not promote lustful thoughts. It does not promote sin. It promotes what people want to see is your body and your beauty. Because in our society, that's what's promoted above our character, above our hobbies. These things are so sad to think that our society's come to that place.
So sad. So for women to find our self-worth in social media, in what people have to say about us, in all of these external areas, we can find our self-worth and our value becoming very inconsistent, like a roller coaster. Like what you gave a good example of getting 250 likes one day and 50 likes the other day, and you think, oh my gosh, do people not think I'm pretty anymore?
What happened?
What's going on? This and that, and your mind can go 100 places. See, for us, the only thing that we have found to be consistent, a consistent source, is God's word, God's character, and God's love. So those are the only things that are consistent every single day, every moment of every day. We can always go to God with our raw emotions, and we can say, Lord, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm thinking about. This is who hurt me, and this is what I'm feeling. And he's plenty big enough to take that on, and then to help us by giving us wisdom, peace, love, joy, clarity.
He wants that more than anything.
Yeah. These are the things our hearts crave the most. And God is the one who can provide it in its purest form. We think we can get it from other places, and we might get a second, 5 seconds of it.
Instant gratification.
We might get that excitement, that dopamine rush from getting all of these likes or this or that. It's not sustaining. I promise you.
It's not.
The only thing sustaining and consistent is God's love for you. And so that's something that we want to remind you in this dark and empty world where women and men are looking for gratification and acceptance online and from friends and from all these things. They're not going to find it. And if we continue on this path, y'all, it's looking dark.
Very dark.
It's looking very sad and dismal. And these are not things that we want to continue on. This is not the future we want to hand our children and grandchildren one day.
I
don't. That makes me so sad and honestly infuriated. And so we as Christians, we need to rise up, and believers and people, if you don't know Jesus, please take the time to get to know him. If you haven't taken the time to pick up a Bible, maybe this is your sign.
Yeah.
Maybe this is it. You decide, you know what, I've been putting it off just because I have so many other things going on. But please take this as your sign to just give it a chance. I mean, you've tried the alternative. You're trying the world's way.
Now what can you lose?
Well, you have nothing to lose.
No, you don't.
Try just giving God and his love a chance and see what happens. And I tell you that there's hope in that. There's always hope in Jesus Christ. So amidst this darkness, amidst the sin and the lust-filled society we are living in, our solution, the one that we found, is in Jesus, because he provides that love and acceptance.
Yes, he does.
So that's our message. That's what God shows us in his word. That's what we found to be true in our lives. And again, we are not perfect.
No, we're not.
We don't
live
this walk perfectly. Okay, we mess up every day.
Yes, we do.
Many times a day. And we have to ask God to forgive us, pick us back up, and set us back on the right path. But he does every time. And it's beautiful. And we're getting to embark on a really great journey with God, and we just want you there as well.
Yeah.
So these are just some thoughts that we want to share with you. We love you. We are championing you on in this life, and we're so excited to see what God does in and through you. So have a great week. Be blessed. Have peace. And we'll catch you next time in our next video, where we get to dive in and
into
tell
what?
you. Oh, we're diving in because we are going to say we don't want to be worldly women.
No, we don't.
We don't want to embrace worldly womanhood. We want to embrace biblical womanhood, and we'll give you a few tips that we found to be helpful on biblical womanhood. Woo, 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 woo. All right, check you next time. Bye.
Bye.